It's the Flow Friday night sports show. We're nearly at the end of Flow, man. And you know what that means, don't you? Can you remember back to 2019? In fact, I don't even have to go back that far because this gentleman joined us last year to help us go through what was going on in this particular competition. It did have a kick and a catch in 2020, like a few others. But look, I don't want to steal any more of his thunder. Let's bring him in now for River Murray Footy. Big Bruce, how are you, mate?
G'day there, Jace. G'day there, Flowman. Oh, what a huge week in River Murray football. It's been a huge week. Nothing's really happened. But look, we do know that Taylor Bend have picked up a new player in Tom Maguire. And look, they are looking for bigger and better things. They tell me there's also a mystery player. So big things happening out at Eagle Park in the... Well, we've had a couple of weeks off, haven't we, since the last match?
Oh, yes.
And some big things happening at Taylor Bend. And while we think of 2 weeks ago, let's quickly go through round two, boys.
All right. Well, Brucey, I did want to say that it's great to have you on deck for season 2021, but more importantly, too, you're live out at the Karoonda Farm Fair, and it's been great through the day. They finished up out there, but I know that you've come on tonight to give us this little bit of River Murray, and then tomorrow it'll be repeated, this segment, during the Karoonda Farm Fair on Saturday. So to everyone out at the Karoonda Farm Fair today, and also, obviously, for those going on Saturday, have a great day. At Brucey, Karoonda, just up the road, is Taylor Bend, and you did mention about Guy joining them. He comes out of the Crows down there, and a good player, so they keep adding to their number, and they add to their wins last week with a thrashing, 24-15, 159. They absolutely belted Ramblers 6-7-43. They got going on social media about this, and the Ramblers felt they were slightly undermanned. Well, I'll tell you what, when you get beaten by 18 goals, you're more than slightly undermanned, Big Brucey.
Oh, you certainly are, and Taylor Bend are stamping their authority on the competition. And look, everyone laughed at me, didn't they? Didn't they, over that pick I had a few weeks ago with Clayton that Taylor Bend will finish in that top three, and it's certainly looking very much like that now. It could even be top two, but geez, Jason, how good's the Flowman there? He's just pulled the USB out. He can tell me where Guy has come from. I tell you what. We just got the absolute, the best on here, I tell you.
He's like Dexter from Perfect Match, Brucey. Don't worry about that. He's got the paper going, the dot printer. It's away.
Well, if he doesn't know them, they're not playing, I think. And look, that was all Taylor Bend, wasn't it? So we go to the next match, Jervois 16-8. In 16-8, Jervois 10-7. And look, it was close at three-quarter time, but look, they ran out of legs, Jervois. Imperials found some goals in that final term and got the victory again up forward. It was big Johnny Boris who banged home 8 goals and was named in the best players. But then I heard later that night that the best players, they were that excited, Imperials, they put them in the wrong way. So it was actually Lewis DeMichel that was best player, followed by James Clark and Ash Tunbridge with Boris in fifth best. But gee, pretty tough on Johnny Boris, kicking 8 goals and named fifth best, and a good win for Imperials. And look, that really does make our prediction of Imperials to finish top, that early season favourite, very much on the money, doesn't it?
It does, Bruce, but I think the other game here is the one that Meningie went down. We didn't expect them to go that well. They lost by plenty against Halem in the first round. They got beaten by Maipalonga by 10 goals. Probably a credible effort from them because at three-quarter time, they're only down by just a couple of goals, really, and they got nailed in a last-quarter effort by Maipalonga.
They certainly did, and they ran out of legs, obviously, probably a few blokes a lack of fitness, but... You just scored the 1 point whilst Maipalonga kicked 7 goals to make it look a pretty good win. Well, let's take nothing away from Maipalonga, fellas. You know, they've lost half the side. These are first choice players. We think of Rory Taggart and James Moss and these sort of blokes, Gogol and Dumont and Butler. These are big name players that have left Maipalonga, and look, that's a pretty good effort for their homegrown talent out there to get the win like they did. And look, they stood strong and come home with it. It was up forward, young lad back there, Kyle McDonald with 4, and young Murison, only a young lad out of the Colts with 4. So they've got some good young kids coming through Maipo. Meningie just couldn't find goal kickers. Sanders and Robinson, each 2. Lawson named their best. Maipo's best was Clark Stegmaier on a half-back line. in good form. And it was a good win for Mypolonga in that match.
All right, Brucey, fantastic rundown of what was round two. They had Easter off because they started very, very early, so they could afford to do that. They're back in action in River Murray football this weekend. Now, Dexter over there across the other side of the desk from me from Perfect Match, I believe has told me there is a 92% compatibility between Imperials and the bye this weekend. Brucey, is that right?
Well, something like that, but it promises to be a big round three of River Murray footy. Let's just, before we get into that, have a look at the premiership table. It's Taylor Bend on top with 2 wins, Imperials 2 wins, Manum on the 1 win, as are Mypolonga and Jervois, and yet to open their account, Ramblers and Meningie. And that's looking very close, boys, to how I picked it at season start with Clayton a couple of weeks ago. And the story down Bridge Street is it could be a Taylor Bend versus Imperials final. It's a long way to go yet, but good signs for Taylor Bend and the coaches, Corey Smilt and Ben Hansen.
Traditionally, you paint the road if you win the premiership. Do you think Taylor Bend will head out to Motorsport Park? And
yes, paint the town.
Probably wouldn't. I don't think the on-the-run crew would be all that happy with that, Brucey. But
yes.
Why don't we have a look at who they're playing this week? It will be at the Bend, and Manum come to town.
Oh, it should be a good game out there at Taylor Bend. It's the match of the day. There's no doubt about that. Look, Taylor Bend will be looking to, obviously, Connor Smilt up forward. They've got Ben Hansen, who surprisingly is playing down back. They've got some pretty handy players that can carry the ball down there for them. And look, they are looking very sharp. And they've got this new bloke, Guy from the KNT. He's going to be a handy acquisition for them. And I think Taylor Bend can get the job done at home. It's a few years since they've beaten Manum. Look, they've got some pretty other handy players in the likes of Franks, Mackenzie Hansen, Hogarth. So, look, they'll be around the money, I think, whilst Manum, look, they'll be looking to the guys like Bowgen and Boylan, and then their big game player in Michael O'Malley down back, and Dylan Ribbons, one of their recruits this year. But for me, Taylor Bend look too strong, and they should get the job done at home. 11-20.
Mypolonga take on Ramblers. This is a chance for Ramblers to redeem themselves from last week's the belting from Taylor, but I think Mypolonga out at the Fruit Bowl might take the Oranges.
Well, it also is a pretty good match on paper. You could also say match of the round. Both sides not really, starting too well. Mypo coming off that good win, Ramblers coming off that loss. So pretty even on paper, but when you analyse the two teams, it's going to be just that experience that might win the match for them. Both sides, not too many names on the team sheets at this stage on the Sporting Pulse, but Ramblers will look to the younger generation of Harradine, and they'll look to the Trevorrow and Walker back into the side, so that'll give them a bit of bite. Look, I don't know. I'm not that confident on Mypo, Wayne. I just think Ramblers might just sneak home. It should be a thriller. I'm going to go for Ramblers out there at the Fruit Bowl, 1-10. Should be an absolute brilliant match in this one in round 3.
Looking forward to it, Bruce. But your old mob, the Bloods versus the Bears, they welcome Meningie to town, and neither of these two clubs have been able to crack it for a win at A-grade level so far in season 2021, albeit Jervois have only played the one game. But yes, I think they both need a win, Bruce.
Yeah, well, I must correct myself there. I don't usually make too many mistakes, but caught up there with that premiership table. I did credit Jervois with a win, but for some reason how it's been put into the system, the bye is actually recording a side of wins. So you've got to be very careful on that. So I got caught there, but it's a good pick up there on that one, Jason. Jervois, the bye, and of course losing to Ibs, yet to get a win. So they'll be desperate for this one. Look, I can't see Meningie can offer too much resistance when you go through this Jervois side. They've got Tyron Hill back from Victoria. Look, he's going to be a big acquisition. Well, I'll make the call. I don't think he'll line up this week. He might just take a spell, might just be going to come over every second week. So Hill probably not playing. Gibson in ruck, they'll look to him to get first use of that footy. They've got some ball carriers in the likes of the Kluskies. Zane Barry, he is just really fast on that first 5 yards. They've got a strong back line led by the general in Casey Robbins, Ryan McKay back there, and Mitchell Noy. They've got the guns in Silverlock, Woodall, some real big game players, Jervois, and they look to these blokes to get them over the line. I think they'll be way too good for Meningie. Meningie might score a few goals out of Sanders up forward, and Greenwood in the ruck will battle hard all day. But look, unless Meningie can come up with a few more names on the team sheet, I think this could be a 61-70 margin in favour of the Bloods.
Yeah, Scott up forward's going to be one hard player to stop. Brucey, you're a hard man to stop when you're covering the lawnmower races at the Karoonda Farm Fair. I tell you what, Saturday is going to be huge, and looking forward to hearing some feedback from that. And you have a great weekend covering sport, and of course with River Murray. Looking forward to your comments next week.
Thanks, boys. We'll do it all again next week.